What's up, guys? Marcio Grava here with the Let's Talk About series, where I talk about gear, anything connected to music, anything that we professional musicians love talking about all the time. So today I thought I'll be talking about cheap and expensive guitars, or we can say affordable and boutique guitars, whatever you want to call them. Now, over the years, as you can see on my YouTube channel, I tried all sorts of instruments. I tried affordable stuff. I was always following up on the news from, for example, Epiphone with their revamped marketing and revamped products, and in some ways I was very happy about it, in other ways not so much. So I would like to cover, especially for those who are now in doubt on what should they purchase, depending on their level, depending on their goals in music, and also to cover the key differences between an expensive guitar, for example, like this Macmull guitar, or the one next to me here, the Stinger, mid-range guitars, as well as ultra affordable guitars, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because at the end of the day, everything depends on your budget. But I think there's been a lot of lies on the internet, especially on YouTube and on Instagram, about people promising professional solutions from coming out of non-professional instruments. So I'd like to cover that, but again, budget is the key word here. How much can you spend? What's your goal? And so on. Now, long story short, I was born and raised in a relatively poor family from a financial aspect. So I really had to live with cheap instruments for a big part of my life until life took a different turn and things started to work out for me. But I had, you can imagine, Epiphones, Squires, the really budget ones, Semic, and so on. Now, when people are promoting a brand that sells guitars for 200 euros, and you see those videos, these overly produced songs with a lot of distortion on YouTube, and they say that, yeah, you don't need anything else to achieve this sound. Right. Let me talk about cheap guitars and recording of them. Cheap guitars usually come with really bad electronics, right? So from a sound perspective only, it takes a lot of work to make them sound right in the mix. I'm a professional mixing engineer. I'm a certified mixing engineer. I'm talking also from this aspect. It's a lot of work to make a cheap instrument sound good. But what they don't talk about in most of these videos is how these instruments feel. The quality control of these instruments, the fret work, the fret ends, the fretboard edges. And this is where brands really save millions of dollars, in FTEs, of full-time employees. And also when they have their labor in relatively cheap labor countries like China, Indonesia, and so on. And I'm not judging the quality of those workers by no means. I think every nationality, every country is capable of learning how to make a great guitar, so that's never about that. It's just how much you pay for that guitar to be made. That would define, materials, time, especially the time you want a worker to spend with the guitar. Now, when you take a cheap guitar, let's say a Jet guitar, and I tried 3 of them, and all of them to me were really bad instruments. And I saw a lot of hype online, people saying great things about them with this ultra processed sound that they put out on the videos. So I always felt wrong with them, right? But if I had only 200 euros, 300 euros, my choices would really narrow. So I would have to have an instrument, and I would maybe go for the cheap one. If you go a bit above and you get, for example, Silver Sky SC, 800 euros, there is where you start to get a good instrument. And I would highly recommend PRS SC. In general, I think they make great stuff for the price. Or Yamaha Revstar. I had a Revstar a while ago. I just was curious about it. It's not for me, but I was impressed by the quality, the standard one. I was blown away. the wood, the fretboard was beautiful, and the fret ends, such a nice work. Similar to what happened with the PRS SC Silver Sky. But if you want to get a professional instrument, you have to go above 1,500, 1,800. Now, the Epiphones made in China that they are selling now for quite a lot of money, I need to see the new ones, but so far I was never impressed. The nut was never really cut nicely, in my opinion. The fret ends horrible. Yeah, you need to spend a lot of hours to make those instruments be okay, and that's your time, is your money. Or you take to a luthier that you trust. Then again, you're going to spend some money, 50, 100 euros an hour for a good luthier. So when you go to the Silver Sky, the core model, for example, USA, I think that's no other Strat can be better for that price, in my opinion. I talked a lot about these guitars in the past years, and I really want to reinforce that message. And that's a professional instrument that will never let you down. I'm touring mostly with that one because I'm not taking the Macmull to every gig. This is my best instrument in my whole life, and is a dream really that has become a reality to me. So I use it for recording. All my recordings now, the last more than a year, just using Macmull. But if you get a Silver Sky 1,600, 1,800 used market, you are going to be super happy with that instrument. Now, when you go above that, that's different. If you are really investing in music, you're writing music, you're touring, I think only you can judge how much you can spend and you should spend on an instrument. I play at least 2 hours a day, every day. It's just, so for me, it's worth every penny to have this kind of guitar. And the recording process is much easier with this kind of level. You wouldn't spend too much time tweaking the sound. The sound is incredible out of the box. With the Silver Sky, I think they cut really through the mix in a nice way, but I still do some tweaking, just taste as well. I mean, some frequencies might annoy me in a way that with this instrument, it never does. So my point is, yeah, sure, if you're a collector, if you want to invest in guitars, buy a guitar that is 20,000 euros because you want to sell in 5 years for 40,000, this is a different story. I'm talking about players like me, like you, that you're gigging, you're recording, you're working as a session musician. Careful with products that are over-promising and underachieving. And these are the ultra-affordable guitars. If you want to get a really affordable guitar, I would say go for a classic vibe from Fender Squier, for example. Or then a bit above Silver Sky SC or a Red Star from Yamaha. Now Ibanez came out with the AZ Standard series for around 500 euros, 400 euros, depends on where you are. And those are really promising as well. So careful with just thinking, I saw a video, it sounds great, the guy was using a 200 euros guitar, right? Did he tell you how he felt? Because in the end of the day, the neck feel, the neck quality, the fret work, the nut material, the nut cut, all those things will cost if you want something great. 200 euros is not going to cut it, right? But if you are a luthier, besides being a musician, and you can do a lot of tweaks and adjustments and invest a bit of time and money in a cheap guitar, maybe you make it great. But think about the wood. Long term, you might have surprises with ultra cheap guitars. And I think when you get a guitar that has top quality wood, you have something for eternity, essentially. So until you leave, you might be able to enjoy it just as much or even more over time. So this is my 2 cents on cheap versus expensive guitar. And of course, in the end of the day, if you only have that budget, you go for it. I was in that position for a long time, and I played with what I had. I sounded just like I sound today, but the way now is much more enjoyable than it used to be. I get my sound ready in a minute because I have everything what I like and what I love, and the environment is there. And when I grab the guitar, I feel great about everything. So, if you're inspired by a good instrument, by a great instrument, you feel more inspired. And with an instrument that you are struggling with, you're fighting against, you might not be so inspired. So yeah, my 2 cents. You don't have to agree. Your budget's going to dictate also what you can buy and what not, but these are my recommendations. These are the brands and models I would recommend. Yeah, feel free to subscribe to if you like the content, or leave a comment suggestion for other videos. I'll be happy to respond as always, and yeah, appreciate your time watching this video. Cheers.